Over 70 and not sleeping well? Here's the cause. I hear you. You are over 70 and finding it harder to get a good night's sleep. You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, tossing and turning. The clock keeps ticking, and before you know it, the sun is creeping up, and you have barely had a few hours of rest. You wake up feeling tired, groggy, and maybe even a little frustrated. I know that feeling all too well. I have been there. And let me tell you, it is not just because you are getting older. There is more to it than that. And I want to share with you what I have learned over the years. Back when I was younger, I could sleep anywhere. A couch, a chair, even the hard floor if I had to. But as the years went by, things changed. I found myself waking up in the middle of the night for no reason at all. Some nights, I could not even fall asleep in the first place. It was as if my body had forgotten how to rest. And let me tell you, when you are not sleeping well, everything else in life feels harder. Your energy is low. Your mood is off. You feel drained before the day has even begun. It is no way to live. And if you are going through this, I want you to know that you are not alone. People will tell you, it is just part of aging. They will say, you do not need as much sleep when you are older. But that is not true. Your body still needs rest. Your mind still needs to recharge. The real problem is that your sleep is being stolen from you. And the worst part is, you might not even realize what is causing it. I certainly did not at first. But when I started paying attention, I found out there were a few sneaky culprits ruining my sleep. One of the biggest reasons sleep becomes a struggle after 70 is the body's internal clock starts to change. When you were younger, your brain knew exactly when it was time to sleep and when it was time to wake up. It was like a well-oiled machine. But as you age, that clock starts getting a little rusty. Your brain produces less melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it is time to rest. That means even if you feel tired, your body is not getting the signal to shut down properly. It is like trying to drive a car with no gas. No matter how much you want to move forward, you are stuck. Another thing that sneaks up on you is the aches and pains. When you were young, a little soreness was nothing. But now, even the smallest discomfort can keep you awake. Your back aches. Your joints feel stiff. Maybe you have arthritis or an old injury that flares up at night. And let me tell you, no matter how comfortable your bed is, if your body hurts, sleep will not come easy. I used to wake up feeling like I had been wrestling all night. It was exhausting. And then there is the mind. Oh, the mind. It is supposed to shut down at night, let you drift into peaceful sleep. But instead, it decides that is the perfect time to start thinking about everything. The past, the future, the what-ifs, the regrets. I cannot tell you how many nights I have spent replaying old memories, worrying about things I cannot change, thinking about people I miss. It is like my brain refuses to turn off, and I know I am not the only one. If you find yourself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought, you know exactly what I am talking about. And do not even get me started on the little things that disrupt sleep. The need to get up for the bathroom in the middle of the night. The feeling of being too hot or too cold. The noise outside. The dryness in the throat. The restless legs that just will not stay still. Every little thing adds up until sleep feels like an impossible task. I know all of this sounds frustrating. It is. But here is the good news. You do not have to accept this as your new reality. You can take back your sleep. You just have to know what is causing the problem and how to fight back. For one, you have to start working with your body, not against it. Since melatonin production decreases with age, you need to help your body recognize when it is time to sleep. That means sticking to a routine. Go to bed at the same time every night, even if you are not tired. Wake up at the same time every morning, even if you feel like sleeping in. Your body needs consistency to reset its clock. And I will tell you something that made a huge difference for me. I stopped fighting my body when it told me I was tired. When I was younger, I could push through exhaustion, keep going even when my body begged for rest. But now, if I feel drowsy in the evening, I listen. I start winding down. I dim the lights. I turn off the screens. I give my body the chance to recognize that it is time to sleep. And over time, it started making a difference. Pain is another beast you have to tackle head-on. If you are in pain, you are not going to sleep well. Period. I learned that the hard way. For years, I just accepted the aches and pains as part of getting older. But then I started taking better care of myself. I stretched before bed. I got a better mattress. I used pillows to support my joints. I even started soaking in warm water before bed to relax my muscles. And let me tell you, the difference was night and day. If pain is keeping you up, do not just accept it. Find ways to ease it. And then there is the mind. This was the hardest one for me. Because when you have lived a long life, your mind is full. Full of memories. Full of worries. Full of thoughts that will not let you rest. But I found something that helped. Every night before bed, I write things down. Whatever is on my mind, I put it on paper. It is like telling my brain, here, you do not have to hold on to this anymore. And somehow it works. My mind quiets down, and sleep comes easier. Of course, some things are out of our control. But that does not mean we are powerless. Small changes add up. I stopped drinking coffee late in the day. I made my bedroom cooler and darker. I started doing light exercise during the day to help my body feel naturally tired at night. It took time, but my sleep got better. And if there is one thing I want you to remember from all of this, it is that you deserve good sleep. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. You are not just too old to sleep well. That is nonsense. Your body still needs rest, and you can still get it. You just have to give it the right conditions. So do not give up. Try different things. Find what works for you. Because when you start sleeping well again, everything changes. You wake up feeling refreshed. Your mood improves. Your energy comes back. Life feels lighter. And let me tell you, after all these years, I have learned one thing. Life is too short to spend it tired. Take back your sleep. You deserve it. Now, let's clear some common questions. What common medications taken by older adults have hidden side effects that interfere with sleep? I remember the day it hit me. I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a row of pill bottles lined up like little soldiers. Blood pressure medicine, something for arthritis, a pill for cholesterol, and a few others the doctor had prescribed over the years. It had become routine to take them without question. After all, the doctor said they were necessary. But as I looked at those bottles, I started wondering, could they be the reason I was lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling? Could the very things that were supposed to help me be hurting me in ways I had not realized? So I did what any stubborn old man would do. I started reading. I pored over the fine print on the labels, something I had never done before. And there it was, written in small letters that most people never bother to read. May cause insomnia. May lead to restlessness. Possible side effects include difficulty sleeping. I could not believe it. I had been taking these pills for years, never realizing they were interfering with the one thing I needed most: deep, restful sleep. One of the biggest culprits I found was blood pressure medication. Beta blockers, the very thing I had been taking to keep my heart steady, were actually working against me at night. These little pills were lowering my heart rate, which was good for my heart but terrible for my sleep. They also reduced melatonin, the very hormone my body needed to wind down. No wonder I was lying awake, unable to drift off. Then there were the pain medications. When you get older, pain becomes a constant companion. Arthritis, back pain, sore joints, it is always something. So, like many others, I took pain relievers to make life a little more bearable. But I did not realize that some of these pills were doing more harm than good when it came to my sleep. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, the kind many of us take for pain, were known to disrupt sleep patterns. They caused stomach discomfort, restless legs, and even reduced deep sleep cycles. I had been taking them before bed, thinking they would help me rest, but in reality, they were doing just the opposite. And then there were the medications for cholesterol. Statins, which so many people take as they age, had their own hidden side effects. They caused muscle pain, which made it harder to get comfortable at night. Some of them even led to nerve issues, leaving a feeling of tingling or burning that kept me awake. I had spent so many nights trying to figure out why I felt so uncomfortable in bed, not realizing that the answer was sitting in my medicine cabinet. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that almost every pill had some connection to sleep problems. Diuretics, which are commonly prescribed for high blood pressure and heart conditions, were making me get up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom. Antidepressants, which I knew many people my age were taking, had side effects that included insomnia and agitation. Even some over-the-counter medications, like allergy pills, contained ingredients that either made me too drowsy during the day or wired me at night. I was frustrated. No one had ever told me this. The doctors had prescribed these medications to keep me healthy, but they had never warned me that they might steal my sleep. And when you do not sleep well, everything else starts falling apart. My energy was low. My mood was off. I felt like I was walking through life in a fog. And all the while, I was unknowingly making it worse by taking medications that were working against me. I knew I had to do something. So I did what I should have done a long time ago. I went back to my doctor, this time with a list of questions. I asked about every single pill I was taking and how it might be affecting my sleep. I wanted to know if there were alternatives, if dosages could be adjusted, or if there was anything I could do to counteract the side effects. To my surprise, my doctor agreed that some of my medications might be making my sleep worse. He suggested changing the time of day I took certain pills. He also recommended trying lower doses for some and even switching a few to different options that had fewer effects on sleep. I also started making small changes in my daily routine. Instead of taking my diuretics in the evening, I took them earlier in the day, so I was not waking up at night to use the bathroom. I spaced out my pain medication to avoid taking it right before bed. I even worked on natural ways to improve my sleep, like creating a bedtime routine, avoiding caffeine late in the day, and keeping my bedroom cool and dark. Slowly, things started to change. The nights of staring at the ceiling became fewer. I started waking up feeling a little more refreshed. My energy returned. And I realized something important. Sometimes, we get so used to taking medications that we never stop to question if they are really helping us in every way. We assume that because they are prescribed, they must be necessary. But the truth is, as we get older, our bodies change. What worked for us 10 years ago might not be working for us now. And if something is interfering with sleep, it is worth taking a closer look. How does diet and hydration in the evening affect sleep quality? And what should be avoided for better rest? I began to notice that what I ate and drank in the hours before bed made a bigger difference than I ever imagined. A heavy meal late in the evening made me feel sluggish and uncomfortable, as if my body was too busy digesting to let me rest. Spicy foods left me tossing and turning, my stomach burning. A cup of coffee in the late afternoon, something I used to enjoy without a second thought, kept my mind racing long into the night. Even certain seemingly harmless drinks, like a warm cup of tea, sometimes had ingredients that made my heart beat just a little faster, keeping me awake. I remember one night in particular when I had a big plate of pasta with a rich, heavy sauce for dinner. It was delicious, but a few hours later, as I lay in bed, I felt like a rock was sitting in my stomach. I could not get comfortable. My body felt sluggish, my breathing felt heavier, and no matter how much I adjusted my pillows or changed positions, I could not settle down. That night, I learned an important lesson. My body was still working hard to digest that heavy meal, and as a result, it was not able to focus on the job of sleeping. Over time, I started making changes. I moved my dinner earlier, giving my body more time to process food before I lay down for the night. I also started paying attention to what I ate. I noticed that meals high in refined carbohydrates, like white bread, pasta, or sugary snacks, often left me waking up in the middle of the night, feeling restless. I realized that these foods caused my blood sugar to rise quickly, only to drop later, signaling my body to wake up. I also saw that too much protein close to bedtime made my digestion work harder, keeping me awake longer. Then there was the issue of hydration. When I was younger, I never gave much thought to how much I drank before bed. But as the years passed, I started to realize how much it mattered. I used to drink a glass of water before bed, thinking it was a healthy habit. But I soon found that it led to frequent trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Each time I got up, it became harder to fall back asleep. It was as if my body had to start the process of relaxing all over again. At the same time, I also learned that not drinking enough during the day left me feeling dehydrated at night. This, too, disturbed my sleep. I would wake up with a dry mouth or an uncomfortable feeling in my throat. Sometimes, my legs would cramp up, a painful reminder that my body needed more fluids. I realized that balance was key. I needed to stay hydrated throughout the day, rather than trying to catch up on fluids in the evening. I also discovered that certain drinks were particularly bad for sleep. Caffeinated drinks, of course, were an obvious culprit. Coffee, black tea, and even some sodas had kept me awake more times than I could count. But I also learned that alcohol, which I once thought helped me relax, was actually making my sleep worse. At first, a glass of wine or a small drink seemed to help me fall asleep faster. But I soon noticed that I was waking up more often in the middle of the night, my sleep feeling shallow and broken. My body was working to process the alcohol, and as the effects wore off, I was left wide awake at odd hours. Another surprise was the effect of sugar. I had always enjoyed a little dessert after dinner, but I began to realize that too much sugar in the evening led to restless nights. It spiked my blood sugar, making my energy levels rise at a time when my body should have been winding down. And later, when my blood sugar dropped, it signaled my brain to wake up. I had spent years wondering why I kept waking up at strange hours, only to realize that my innocent little evening treats were playing a bigger role than I had thought. Through trial and error, I found what worked best for me. A light, balanced meal in the evening, full of whole foods, kept me feeling comfortable and satisfied without weighing me down. I started including more magnesium-rich foods, like nuts and leafy greens, which seemed to help my muscles relax. I avoided heavy, greasy, or overly spicy foods too close to bedtime. I also became more mindful of when I drank water, making sure to hydrate well during the day but tapering off in the evening. One of the biggest changes I made was cutting out caffeine after midday. It took some time, but eventually, I noticed that my sleep was deeper and more consistent. I also replaced sugary evening snacks with something more stable, like a handful of almonds or a small piece of cheese, which did not send my blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. And instead of alcohol, I started winding down with a calming herbal tea, free of stimulants, to help signal to my body that it was time to rest. It took time to figure all this out, but once I did, the difference was incredible. I stopped waking up as often. I fell asleep more easily. My sleep felt deeper, more refreshing. It was a reminder that even the smallest choices, what we eat, what we drink, when we consume them, have a powerful effect on our bodies. When we are young, we can get away with bad habits. But as we age, everything catches up with us. Our bodies are more sensitive, and we have to listen more carefully to what they are telling us. Can improving sleep in later years lead to a longer, healthier life? And what are the most effective ways to make lasting changes? I did not always know this. There was a time when I brushed off my sleepless nights as just part of getting older. I would lie awake for hours, my mind racing or my body uncomfortable, then wake up feeling groggy and drained. I convinced myself that this was normal, but the more I struggled, the more I started to wonder. I noticed that when I did sleep well, everything felt different. My energy was better. My mood was lighter. I was sharper, more present, more engaged with the world. And then I started reading, learning, and paying attention. What I discovered changed my entire outlook. Good sleep is directly tied to longevity. It affects heart health, brain function, metabolism, immune strength, and even emotional well-being. When we do not sleep well, our bodies suffer in ways we do not always notice right away. Our hearts work harder. Our blood pressure rises. Inflammation increases, and our cells do not repair themselves as efficiently. Over time, this takes a toll. Poor sleep has been linked to a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, memory problems, and even a shorter lifespan. On the other hand, those who sleep well tend to live longer, not just in years but in quality. They have sharper minds, stronger bodies, and a greater ability to enjoy life fully. So the question became, how could I improve my sleep in a way that would truly last? I had spent enough nights tossing and turning to know that quick fixes did not work. I needed something real. Something sustainable. The first thing I had to change was my mindset. Sleep was not just something that happened at night. It was something I had to prepare for during the day. I started paying attention to my routines, my habits, and the signals I was sending my body. One of the most effective changes I made was getting serious about a consistent sleep schedule. In my younger days, I never thought much about when I went to bed or woke up. But as I got older, I realized that my body needed rhythm. Waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, helped regulate my internal clock. And going to bed at the same time every night trained my body to expect rest. At first, it was difficult. Some nights I would lie there, my old habits tempting me to stay up later. But the more consistent I was, the more my body responded. I started feeling sleepy at the right time. Waking up became easier. My sleep felt more natural, more restorative. Another thing I had to change was my relationship with light. I never realized how much light controlled my sleep until I started making adjustments. Natural sunlight in the morning became one of my best tools. I made a habit of going outside, letting my body soak in the daylight, and signaling my brain that it was time to be awake. In the evening, I did the opposite. I dimmed the lights in my home, turned off bright screens, and let my body naturally wind down. It made a bigger difference than I ever expected. I also took a hard look at my evening habits. I used to think that a nightcap or a heavy meal before bed was harmless, but I quickly learned otherwise. Alcohol, which I once believed helped me relax, was actually fragmenting my sleep, waking me up in the middle of the night. Late meals, especially heavy or sugary ones, made my digestion work overtime, keeping my body too active for deep rest. I started making my last meal lighter and earlier, allowing my body time to process it before bed. Movement also played a role I had underestimated. When I was less active during the day, I found it harder to sleep at night. My body was restless, as if it had unused energy that had nowhere to go. But when I made an effort to move, whether it was a walk, some stretching, or simple daily activities, my sleep improved. It did not have to be intense exercise. Just enough to tell my body that I had used my strength, and now it was time to recover. One of the most powerful changes I made was in how I managed stress. In my younger years, I could carry stress without much thought. But as I aged, I noticed that my worries followed me into the night. My mind would race, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, or simply refusing to settle. I had to learn new ways to calm myself before bed. Deep breathing, quiet reading, and even simple gratitude exercises helped shift my focus. Instead of letting my mind spiral into anxieties, I started reminding myself of what went well in the day. The more I practiced this, the easier it became to let go of tension and drift into sleep. Temperature, noise, and comfort also made a difference. I learned that sleeping in a slightly cooler room helped my body relax more deeply. I made sure my mattress and pillows supported me well, and I removed anything that disrupted my rest. Small things, like using blackout curtains or a white noise machine, helped create the right environment for quality sleep. The biggest lesson in all of this was that improving sleep was not about just one change. It was about layering small, consistent habits that, over time, added up to something powerful. When I made these adjustments, I did not just sleep better. I lived better. My mornings became brighter. My body felt stronger. My mind felt clearer. And most importantly, I felt more present in my own life. Looking back, I wish I had understood this sooner. Sleep is not just a necessity. It is a gift. It is one of the most powerful ways we can take care of ourselves, not just for today but for the years ahead. It is never too late to make changes. Even small improvements can have a lasting impact. A longer, healthier life is built on the foundation of good sleep. And when we take the time to nurture that foundation, we give ourselves the best chance at not just living longer, but truly living well. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.